Let's start over. Okay. Everyone, please mute. Um, Allison Baggerly is the founder of Inspired Budget, author of Money Made Easy, and host of the Inspired Budget podcast. I've been geeking about this all week, everyone, so I'm very excited to have her speak. After she paid off $111,000 of debt on two teacher salaries, she now helps others take control of their money with simple, step-by-step guidance. Her work has been featured in Forbes, Business Insider, and Parents. So without further ado, Allison.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone can see me along with my presentation. Can you guys see both of me? Okay, good. Because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like I'm a real person. I feel like I need to be like on there as well. But hello, welcome, thank you. I'm so excited to be with you and to talk about money. And I know that it's been taboo to talk about money in the past. And I'd actually love to know where, if you grew up, if talking about money was considered rude or inconsiderate or taboo. If so, just in the comments, can you just either do like the raise hand emoji or just type me in the comments? Because I grew up in a house where we did not talk about money. And so, therefore, whenever I left that house and was an adult, I had no idea what I was doing. And I was scared to talk about it. I already see Heather's raising her hand here. So, but we're going to talk about it. And don't worry, it's not going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to be taboo. It's definitely something that we need to discuss. So, today we're going to be having that honest conversation about money and how to take control of your money and hopefully make it a little bit easier for you. I know that money can be a source of stress and it can be really frustrating and overwhelming. So, whether you are struggling to make ends meet right now, whether you feel that strain of everything is getting more expensive, you feel like you're living paycheck to paycheck, or you're sitting here thinking, I feel good with my money, but maybe I want it to be a little bit easier, this workshop is for you. I also just want to say that we're going to be talking about a lot of things today. And if you grew up and money was taboo and you didn't really learn about it, you might feel overwhelmed with everything that we're going to talk about. So, I want to talk about what we're going to cover and my goal for you. We're going to talk about how to write a budget that works. And I'm going to give you an example because in the past, I was a teacher and I believe in teaching you with example. We're going to talk about the importance of paying off debt and how to do that, why your emergency fund matters, and we're going to dive into the hidden income that you need to be considering whenever you are searching for a job or even the job you have now. My goal for you is to walk away with only one thing to tackle because otherwise it can get really overwhelming, right? When we're thinking, she wants me to do step one, step two, step three, step four. No, that can be a little too much. I don't want you walking away feeling like you now have a full year's worth of work to do. My goal is for you to choose one thing. So as we go through the presentation, I want you to ask yourself, what's the one thing I want to work on? Because I'm actually going to give you a little bit of guidance to help you out with that. So, okay. My name's Allison Baggerly, and thank you for the introduction. I am the founder of Inspired Budget, which is my business. I teach people just like you how to manage their money and love their life in the process. Because I know that managing your money, it can feel like you have to cut back and never spend money on what you want. And I don't think it has to be that way. I've written a book, Money Made Easy. I have a podcast, the Inspire Budget Podcast, with over 1 million downloads. And I'm excited here to tell you, and I'm a little nervous to tell you, that managing my money never came easy for me. I did not grow up in a family that had wealth. I did not grow up in a family where we talked about money, and it was never easy for me. In fact, I was pretty terrible when it came to managing my money, but here's what I need you to know. Learning how to write a budget, pay off debt, and manage my money completely transformed my life. And look, I did not make a lot of money and I had a lot of debt. So I truly believe that it can do the same for you. Managing your money better, paying off debt, writing a budget can totally change the trajectory of your life. But we all have to start somewhere, right? And I started at my rock bottom moment. So I got married, flashback to 2011. I married my husband. I was a teacher at the time, and he was also a teacher. He's still a teacher. And we were barely making ends meet. We didn't have a dime in savings. And honestly, I just thought we would have debt forever. I thought that that was just what life was like. We were always going to be struggling, and it was what it was. And then what happened next was something I definitely did not expect. My husband and I got pregnant on our honeymoon. Completely surprise, unexpected. And that means that I got married at I got married at 24, pregnant at 24, and had a baby all at the age of 24 within a year, less than a year. I do not recommend doing all of that at once. It's very stressful. And there's something about life and making plans. I feel like we can make the best plans in our mind, but life can just kind of throw those plans out the window. And that's honestly what happened to us. But this was the moment that we realized that something had to change. There was this one specific moment for us. We had just found out we were pregnant. I remember it like it was yesterday. We realized we were pregnant, and we were sitting at this hand-me-down table, this kitchen table that not only my parents had used, but my grandparents had used. We had these mismatched IKEA chairs, and I sat there crying, just tears streaming down my face, because we realized at that moment we would not be able to afford daycare for our baby when he came. I couldn't afford to quit my job as a teacher. There was no way that was going to happen. And we realized we didn't have enough extra money every month to actually pay for daycare when this baby came, right? And that's when we made the decision to total up how much debt we had. And we had never discussed money. We realized we had over $111,000 of debt on two teachers. That's a lot of debt for two people who are just trying to get by. And if you have debt, it doesn't even have to be that much debt. It could be more than that. You know how that amount of debt can weigh on you. I felt like we were drowning, but it was at that moment in our little hand-me-down kitchen table in our small apartment that I realized, hey, something has to change. I felt hopeless, but I knew there has to be something different we can do. What if it doesn't have to be this way for us? I was determined to change the way our money looked, not just for that day, not just for that year, but for the rest of our lives. Even though I honestly had no idea what I was doing, I was willing to figure it out. And even if I could just get better, a little bit better with my money, then I knew that our life could look different. And so that's what we did. And we made a lot of mistakes on the way. In 2011, we decided it's now or never. Something has to change. We don't have enough money to have a baby in 9 months. So we knew we needed to free up money. We were sending $1,400 a month to our minimum debt payments. And after 4.5 years, we paid off all of that debt with no inheritance, no high income, just two people working hard and making sacrifices. And look, you'll see in this timeline, it is not just fully straight up, because that's not how anyone's money journey is going to be. There were ups and there were downs, and it took us time. We weren't this overnight success, but those habits changed everything in our life. But it all started, we got there because we had a plan to change the way our money looked, not for a few months or for a few years, but for the rest of our lives. And so these days, fast forward to now, 2025, we are debt free. Other than our house, we don't have credit card debt, student loan payments, car payments, and that allows us to invest in our future, take family vacations, and spend money on what we value and love while still saving for the future. But most importantly, better than any of that, better than the family vacations, better than investing, we are no longer stressed about money. If you've ever been stressed about money, where you have those sleepless nights, where you sit there and think, I don't even want to check the mail, I don't even want to open my email inbox because I don't know what's waiting for me, then you know how frustrating and difficult that can be. Having peace of mind with my money has changed everything. And that's what I want for you. I want the same thing for you. I want you to have peace of mind and financial security. I want you to have nights where you can sleep soundly and no longer have experiences of fearing every single time, like if your kid breaks a bone, saying, "Oh my gosh, how am I even going to pay for this? How much is this going to cost?" I don't want those to be your first thoughts. Doesn't that sound amazing to have that peace of mind, financial security, and no longer waiting for payday? If you're like, "Yes, this is what I want," then I just want you to type yes in the comments. So that way I know, like, okay, you're here for it. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to give you a step-by-step plan because we don't have to feel this way. We might not be able to change everything, but I promise you can change something today. You can make one decision and it will give you peace of mind with your money. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, the chat is doing good. Here we go. If you have a notebook, get out your pen, get out your notes, get ready to screenshot. I also want you to know, please stay till the end because I do have a link that I'm giving just to you with some different resources that I'm giving to you for free. So I'll give you that link and all that information at the end as well. Okay, we can't change everything about our money overnight. So we're going to break it down into 3 steps that you can take over time. And I'm calling it the Money Made Easy method because honestly, I couldn't think of anything else. And that's the name of my book, Money Made Easy. So I said, I'll just go with that. Okay, so step 1, we're going to talk about how to write a budget that works. Step 2, we're going to talk about how to pay off debt and why you want to do it. And then step 3, we're going to talk about saving and investing. So here's your takeaway. Remember, I want you to choose one of these steps that you're going to take action on after today. I don't want you to try to do all 3. Let's not bite off more than we can chew because then, and I've done this, it's like whenever, like if you say, I'm going to start running and then I immediately sign up for a half marathon after not running anything. Like let's not do that, right? So I want you, as we're going through this, to ask yourself which one of these, because then at the end, I want to hear which step you're going to work on. So let's dive into writing a budget. That's the first step. A budget is just simply a plan that helps you manage your money effectively. A lot of people think of budgeting as like a 4-letter word. It's bad. It means I can't spend money. I know that because that's what I used to think about budgeting. So you're not alone there. But it honestly, it's not that. It gives you a clear picture of how much money you have coming in, your income, and where your money is going, your expenses. And what it does is it allows you to make informed financial decisions. What I mean by that is a budget allows you to make decisions with your money from a state of calm instead of a state of stress. Have you ever had something stressful in your life happen? Maybe a sick kid, maybe maybe you got in a wreck or your car tires blew out, or you forgot that your car registration needed to be approved, or you had to pay for that. And then it feels like, oh my goodness, I have to make these decisions about money in a state of stress. It doesn't feel good. So your budget is just a forward thinking plan that allows you to make decisions about money in a state of calm. And it gives you control over your money and it's going to help you reach your goals. So we talked about what a budget is. Let's talk about what it's not. And I'm curious to know if you've thought any of these things. A budget is not about depriving yourself and never spending money. I swear, if I was paying off debt and someone said, Allison, you can no longer get your weekly latte run, I would have said, forget it. I'm out. Like, I'm done. I don't want to live a life where I never get to spend the money I earned. I tried my best. I made what I felt like was decent money as a teacher, right? I went to college. I did all the right steps in the right order, right? I say quote, right? We did it right. And now you're telling me I can't spend my money? No, I don't want that. It's not about that. It's not about depriving yourself. It's about making choices and being meaningful for how we spend our hard-earned money. Because there are going to be people that will always try to take your money from you. So writing a budget is you choosing where your money is going. A budget is not about making your life harder. It's actually quite the opposite. It's about taking back control so you can enjoy your life with a lot less stress. When you have a budget, you know exactly where your money is going, and you can make smarter decisions that align with what you want in life, what you want your life to look like. And then finally, a budget is not rocket science. I swear, I actually used to teach fifth grade, and I literally taught my fifth graders how to write a budget. Sometimes we make it a lot harder in our head than it needs to be. So just think of it as a roadmap for your money. That's all it is. We're going to make a map for your money. Okay. So the ultimate goal of a budget is to spend less than you make. And one of my things I'm giving to you is not this budget page, because this one's kind of ugly. I'm giving you a nicer, a nicer budget template that's a little more fun. Okay, so the ultimate goal is to spend less than you make. You can do this one of two ways. You can either choose to spend less, or if you want to spend more, you can make more money. So for example, let's say that you make, and I'm using easy numbers here for me. Let's say you make $2,000 a month, but you spend $2,500 a month. You're going to go into debt. The same is true if you make $5,000 a month and you spend $6,000 a month. So our goal is to spend less than we make. I've worked with thousands of people over the years, and at all income levels, you will be surprised, at all income levels, there are people spending more than they make. Okay, so let's talk about a how-to, literally step-by-step how to write a budget. I want you to walk away with like actionable advice. I don't want this to be one of those sessions where you walk away and you're like, I feel good, but I don't know what to do next. No, none of that here. We're going to walk away with actionable steps. So most people think, right? How often do you think you should write a budget? Actually, I want to know in the comments. How often do you think you should write a budget? This is the calendar of May. Like, when do you think your budget should begin? And when do you think it should end? Let me know in the comments. I'm going to take a sip of water because I'm going to make you guys like actually talk to me. Kara says monthly. I've been doing monthly each month. Yes, on the first of the month, right? It makes sense. Let's write a budget that starts on May 1st and ends on May 31st, right? In the ending of precious month. Yes, exactly. That's what one person thinks, right? However, this is wrong. To me, it doesn't make sense. It actually is not the best way. And here's why. You're not getting paid necessarily on the first of the month. I'm guessing if you have a job, you're not getting paid on the first of every month. I'm guessing you're getting paid maybe on these Fridays. Maybe you're getting paid on May 2nd and again on May 16th. So to me, if that happens, I want you to budget for each paycheck, for each pay period. Think of it as money coming into your account. That is the start of your new budget, because that's almost like your reset. You've hit the reset button. You got that money in. Now we're going to decide what are we going to do with it until you're paid again. So let's say that you were paid on May 2nd. That budget would last you, your first budget of the month, from the day you are paid, May 2nd, all the way until May 15th. Why does it end on May 15th? Why do we stop halfway through the month? Because you're probably going to get paid again. If you're like just the average everyday person who's getting paid twice a month or bi-weekly, you're going to get paid again on May 16th. That's you hitting that reset button again. Okay, now I write a new budget going from May 16th all the way to May 29th, because on the 30th, you'll get paid again. Now, I'm not saying that this is how you have to budget, even if you're not paid on those days. We want to look at your payday and say the day the money hits your account is the start of your budget. And your budget will last you until the day before you are paid again. Does that make sense? If so, give me a thumbs up emoji in the comments, because I want to make sure that everyone understands this. I will say, while I'm waiting for that, my husband and I both get paid within a couple of days together. So if you have a partner that there's different paydays, sometimes we will lump our paychecks together. If they're a couple of days apart, we'll lump them together and we'll say, okay, these paychecks are going to be together until the next payday. Okay, I'm seeing some thumbs up. Awesome. So step one is we have to figure out the days. What are the days of our paycheck? What are the days of our budget? I'm sorry. What are the days of our budget? Step 2 is to list your income and expenses. So, your income and fixed expenses. Your income is the type of money or the money that you make, the money that's coming into your account. So, for our example, let's pretend that we have a full-time job and I don't know, maybe you have a side hustle. Maybe you drive for Uber Eats or Uber. Maybe you make something and sell it on Etsy. Maybe you have a part-time job, whatever it is. Let's pull out that income, how much money you are making on that payday. Then we want to list your fixed expenses. These are the things that are going to stay the same every month. They are not going to shock us, right? They are not going to be a surprise. You can expect them to pretty much be the same. That would include things like rent, cell phone bills, any subscriptions you have, right? Things that are going to remain the same. If you think of any fixed expenses you have, put them in the comments. For me, I know it would be things like Hulu. My Hulu is always the same every month. My car insurance is the same every month. My mortgage payment, sometimes it changes in the year because of taxes and insurance, but for the most part, it is the same every month. These things, you're not likely to overpay on them. They typically just come out on auto draft. You don't think about them much. So we have our fixed expenses. Here are some examples. The reason why I have not all of them is remember our paydays for this. Let me go back here. We are writing a budget. We're writing a green budget that's going to last us from May 2nd to May 15th, which means that in this budget, we might not have every single bill for the whole month coming out. We only want to include the expenses that we are going to have to pay in that time period between the 2nd to the 15th. Then we're going to add in our variable expenses. These are going to be the bills that change from month to month. These typically change based on your own personal behavior or your family's personal behavior. This is where people tend to go over budget. This is when they decide budgeting is too hard, it's too complicated, something's not working for them. And it's why it's so important to include things that you actually spend money on. So, for instance, my electricity bill is going to change based on our behavior. As it gets harder, my bill is just inching on up. In fact, if you follow me on Instagram, I share my utilities bills every month. And I can tell you what I paid in April versus what I'm going to pay in August in Texas, it's going to be totally different. Same thing for gas for your car. Depending on how much I am driving or my partner is driving, it's going to change the amount we're spending on gas, especially if we go on a little, maybe a weekend getaway. Same thing for groceries, restaurants. These are all things that are going to change based off of your behavior. It's where we tend to go overboard, but we have to include them in our budget. And you might be thinking, how do I know how much to include? We have to look back at our past spending to get an idea because we can't just guess, right? So we have to look back. How much do I typically spend on groceries every week? Let me do the math. Let me look at my bank statements or look at the bank app on my phone and try to get an idea. The goal is to get close. You don't have to be perfect about it. Then finally, step 4 is to budget for any debt or saving goals you have. This would include things like credit cards, student loans, even car loans, because your car is still debt if you still have a car loan for it, and any savings. So in my example, we have a credit card and savings. And then the last step is to put it all together. We have to put this all together and figure it out. And this is what I call a zero-based budget because when we take our income and we include all of our expenses, the difference is zero, meaning every dollar is accounted for in this budget. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I've written many budgets where I have extra money in my difference, which is like, woohoo, go me. I have extra money. I can decide what to do with it. Maybe I want to spend it on something I want, which I do sometimes. Maybe I want to put it in savings, which I do a lot of times, or invest it. But there have also been many budgets in my life where this number is negative. And I'm like, oh, crap. Sorry. I don't know what am I going to do? And that's when I usually go back into my variable expenses and I say, okay, I need to make some decisions here. Maybe we are going to cut down restaurants and spending money, or maybe we are going to cut back on something else. And I have to work with the numbers. And that's where budgeting gets very personal and it gets very flexible. You have to be willing to do it. and try it and do it for several months at a time. So, I want to know who here wants their step that they walk away with today to be work on writing a budget. Okay. And I have this in here, my book, Money Made Easy, because if that's the one thing you want to focus on, I do have some resources for you at the end that you can have for free. But if you're like, Allison, that's my one thing. I know I need to be telling my money where to go. I know I need to be better managing it, then I want you to type me in the comments. You're like, yep, that's my one thing. And if so, if you want, I go into detail about this in my book in chapters 3 and 4. You don't have to buy it. You can get it from the library. If your library doesn't have it, you can email them and say, I need you to get this book so I can borrow it from you. But I want to know if this is the step you want to work on. If not, that's cool, because the next thing we're going to talk about is paying off debt. So once you have a budget that works, once we know where our money is going and we feel like we have a plan, now we can look at our debt and say, how can I pay off my debt so that way I'm sending less money to my interest every month? Now, I can tell you that debt, it is like climbing a mountain with a backpack full of rocks, right? Like this is my little picture, and I made this graphic myself. So if you need any graphic experience, clearly I know what I'm doing. Just kidding. But no, really, like the more debt you have, the more backpack there are in the more rocks you have in your backpack. And it's like you are being told, I'm trying to get to the top of this mountain, but I'm carrying this backpack. But every debt you pay off, it's like you're taking a rock out of your backpack. And what happens to that backpack? It gets lighter. And that's exactly what paying off debt is like. So before we dive into it, I want to show you the power of paying off debt, the math behind it. So look at this. Let's see the impact that happens when you're intentional. Let's say, just for funsies, that you have a $30,000 loan at 7% interest. Okay. So we have a $30,000 loan, your interest rate is 7%, and your monthly payment is $250. Okay. If that's the case, it is going to take you over 17 years to pay off this debt, thanks to the interest you are going to accrue. And when all is said and done, you will have paid off the $30,000 you borrowed and an additional $21,000 in interest alone, meaning that you borrowed $30,000 and you are officially paying back $51,000. That is a lot of money to be sending to interest, right? Like, who wants that? I don't want that. I don't want to be giving $21,000 of my hard-earned money away to a bank just because I'm taking and 17 years of my life to pay them back. So let's say you're in this situation, which you might be like, Allison, you're describing my life. Don't worry, I've been there. But let's say you decide, you know what? I don't want to do that. I want to keep more of my money, but I need to pay off this debt. So I'm going to buckle down and I'm going to really focus on sending extra income, extra money I can find to debt. I want you to see the difference that this makes. So let's say that you decide, instead of making your monthly minimum payment of $250, you decide, I'm going to bump that sucker up. I'm now going to send $500 each month to this debt, because I went to this really amazing workshop that Aspen University put on. And this lady there told me that this is going to help me. And I already know that she's onto something. So you decide to send $500. Look at the difference. Okay. Same loan amount, same interest rate. Instead of $250 a month, you're sending $500 a month. Instead of 17 years, you will pay off this debt in 6 years. Instead of $21,000 in interest, you're going to pay $7,000 in interest. So looking at these options, what would you choose? Option A or option B? Okay, option A or B? Let me know in the comments. I know my answer because I want to keep my money, right? I don't want to send it to the bank. They already have enough money. Okay, let's be honest here. They don't need my money. I need my money. I'm seeing lots of option Bs. Exactly. Okay, that is the power of paying off debt. So hopefully, I've convinced you here that we need to do it. Now you might be thinking, well, how do I do it? Let's talk about it. I'll walk you through it. Okay, debt comes in many different forms, and I wish I could talk about paying off debt for hours and hours and hours. It's definitely a passion of mine. It's helping people learn how to pay off debt. Like that is my that I feel like that is my mission. However, they won't let me talk for hours and hours tonight. They said I have a time limit. So, we're going to talk about specifically the hardest debt to pay off, the one that is the worst, and that is high interest debt. Typically, these are credit cards, payday loans, anything that has such a high interest that it makes it really hard for you to make progress. Now, on this example, we're going to call anything above 10% high interest, okay? And we're going to talk about exactly the best way to pay that off. And that is by using something called the debt avalanche method. Here's exactly what it looks like. You list your debts from highest to lowest interest rates. So here's my example. Let's say I have 2 credit cards and a personal loan. We have our interest rates, our minimum payments, and our balance. We're going to list them in order from our highest interest rate, 27%, to our lowest interest rate, 12%. And the thing is, the higher the interest rate, the harder it is for you to pay it off because more of your monthly payment is going to that interest. So we are going to continue to make the minimum payments on all of these debts. We're going to pay off this credit card every month for $150. We're going to make this $90 payment and this $225 payment because we don't want to get behind on any of these and pay any like penalties or anything like that. But then we're going to take any extra money we can. Maybe we decide to cut back on restaurants by $100 a month, or we decide to drive Uber twice a month. Whatever it is, we're going to take any extra money we can find, and we are going to make extra payments to the principal of this highest interest rate card. What that's going to do is that's going to help us lower that balance quicker. We are going to do that until you pay it off and it's gone. Boom. Credit card number 1 is gone. We don't have to pay that anymore. Now we have extra money in our budget. You have more money because you no longer have this minimum payment. So we're going to take that and we are going to now focus on credit card number 2. So as you start paying off those debts, we celebrate our victories, right? Even if it's like, I'm going to go see a movie, I'm going to go out to eat at a nicer restaurant. We need to celebrate those victories, those wins, because if you're on a debt-free journey that's 4.5 years like I was, you need to celebrate along the way, and then you move on to the next one. So that's exactly what it looks like to pay off high interest debt. And let me tell you, paying off debt gives you so much in life, more than money, right? And extra money is wonderful. It gives you options and choices. I kid you not. I am now 38 years old. I have children. And when I tell you that not having debt affords our family options and choices when things happen, it is so true. And if you have debt, you know that you do feel limited by what you can do because you feel like, oh my gosh, if my kid is sick, I can't take time off of work because I can't lose out on those hours, right? That's just one small example. And also, paying off debt gives you freedom to do what you want in life, to take those vacations, to spend your time, your precious time, how you want it. So, if you are like, yes, that's me, Allison, I want to pay off debt, I want you to say me in the comments. And I also want you to know that I have a free debt tracker here. And what this is, it's totally free. It's going to be in the link that I give you at the end. I see lots of me's. Oh my gosh. I love talking about paying off debt. This is a free debt tracker where you will literally enter all of your debts, the interest rate, the balance. It'll do the math for you. You can even say, what happens if I send an extra $100 a month to my debt? And it'll tell you, oh, you're going to pay it off 5 months sooner. And it's really cool. It's very interactive, very easy to use. I have a tutorial video as well. You don't have to write down this website because it's going to be linked on the one I give you at the end. Now, if you also want to pay off debt and you want to grab my book, I talk all about it in chapter 5, the different debt. I go deeper into the different debt payoff strategies, how to stay motivated, how to pay off debt and save money at the same time, because I do believe we need to save money. I talk all about it in chapter 5. Ask your library to get it. Also, just so more people can read it if it's in the library. Okay, so we talked about writing a budget. We talked about paying off debt. Now let's talk about saving and investing. Specifically, we're going to be talking about saving. I wish, like I said, they gave me a time limit, so I can't talk about all of it. Saving and investing are not the same thing. So today we're going to be talking about really saving. Saving means setting aside money for short-term goals and emergencies. Investing is putting your money to work so it earns more money for the future, okay, for retirement. For today's workshop, we're going to touch really on saving. Now, your emergency fund, we're going to talk about your emergency fund. It has one purpose. The goal of your emergency fund is to help cover and pay for any unexpected expenses so you don't have to go into debt to pay them. And I saw this shirt. This is a side note. I saw this shirt, and I'm a coffee drinker. I have coffee right here. Like I'm drinking it all the time. So this shirt is very on brand for me. Life happens, coffee helps is what it says. But when I saw that, I kind of chuckled because I was like, liar. When life happens, coffee doesn't help. So I fixed it. And now it says life happens, money helps. Because isn't that so true? When life happens, when you get in an accident or you need to replace your tires, or I don't know, my 10-year-old son just broke his jaw in January and needed to have 2 jaw surgeries. Coffee doesn't help me. Money does. Having money in an emergency fund helps me in those moments. And actually, 2 summers ago, we had a very big emergency in our family. I told you, we live in Texas, Houston, Texas. It was the middle of July, and our AC died. Just like that, died in the middle of July. And I don't know where you live, but where I live, I can't go without an AC. That is dangerous. That is dangerous, dangerous stuff there. We had to have money in savings to be able to fix that. We didn't want to go into debt, and our emergency fund in this situation saved us. So let's talk about oh my gosh, Heather said we used to live in Fort Worth and the same thing happened to us. Exactly. Anywhere in the South, you need an AC. That's like a staple. So let's talk about how much money should you have in your emergency fund. A good goal is 3 months of necessary expenses. And if you're like, I don't have that much, don't worry. We're starting one step at a time. Now, what is necessary expenses? Necessary expenses are the things you need to survive. Meaning, if God forbid something happens to my partner and he loses his job and he's no longer bringing in money, right? We want to be able to have 3 months for him to find a new job and get some money coming in before we go into debt or have to worry, like before you freak out. Same thing with, it's not even just for that though, job losses. It's also to be able to cover emergency situations. Now, what we don't need are unnecessary expenses, because if something happens and my husband does lose his job, we're going to stop going to restaurants. We will cancel Netflix, right? We're not going to go to the movies or concerts. We're not going to be upgrading our iPhone. So what I want you to do is calculate how much money do you truly need to live off of every month without the extras. Because if God forbid if something happens, you can forego the extras for a couple of months. Like we'll survive, right? So we want to look at our necessary expenses. This also includes minimum debt payments because we don't want you to get behind on your debt payments, especially credit cards, right? So we're going to take that number, however much it is, and we're going to multiply it by 3 months, and that's your emergency fund goal. So if that number comes out to be $2,500 times 3 months, you need $7,500 in a separate savings account to cover your emergencies, right? Just to have it there, because it's not about if life will happen to you, it's about when. When will life happen to you? It's going to happen. If that number is higher, guess what? You need more money in your emergency fund. So we have a good goal here. Now, I will say that there are going to be times whenever you might know that you need to use your emergency fund. Like you have this money in savings. When do you tap into it, right? When is the right time? Well, unexpected medical bills, car repairs. My husband once had to have his car transmission rebuilt. That was expensive, but we needed that car. Home repairs, like my pipes burst or my refrigerator died completely, things like that, and job loss. However, I'm not going to lie to you. There have been times when I have been tempted to use my emergency fund for other things that aren't emergencies. So just because I feel like I've struggled with that, I'm going to lay it out for you too. Do not use your emergency fund on holiday gifts. Holidays are not an emergency. You know when birthdays are happening. You know when Christmas happens. You have advance notice. Vacations. I once tried to convince my husband when we were paying off debt that we needed to go to Florida for a beach vacation, and I tried to convince him to use our $4,000 emergency fund for said vacation. Thankfully, he talked some sense into me, but cool technology, not an emergency. Entertainment. I put these here because these are all things I've been tempted to do. So I just feel like I need to put it out there. Now, if you're like, absolutely, saving and investing is what I need to work on, then you can learn more in chapters 6, 7, and 13 of my book, Money Made Easy. And then I want to know, type me in the comments if you're like, that's me. I need to work on that. I got the budgeting thing down. I feel good about my debt, but I really need to be saving for an emergency fund or starting to invest. Write me in the comments if that's you. I do talk in chapter 13 about investing in the stock market, explaining how it works because they definitely don't teach that in school and they should. So there we have it. That is the Money Made Easy method. We talked about writing a budget that works, tackling high interest debt, which, oh my goodness, I'm so excited to hear so many people want to pay off debt because it is literally sucking your money away from you with the interest rates. And then we also talked about the power of saving money. But I do want to talk about something I like to call hidden income. And this is money or value that you're receiving, even if it doesn't show up in your bank account. So a lot of times we think of our income as just whatever our paycheck says, right? Like how many dollars and cents are being put into your bank account, but that's not the full story. So we do have your salary, which is the tip of the iceberg here, but underneath here is all of your hidden income. Many jobs, many roles, they have benefits that will save you money or support you in other ways. And these are things that really matter when you are planning your finances, when you're writing your budget, when you're making decisions about your career. We can't just look at the salary. We have to look at the bottom of the iceberg as well. So let's talk about them. Hidden income are all the non-salary benefits that are offered to you. This includes things like health benefits, retirement options, like if someone does a match on retirement plans, different perks, maybe gym memberships, if you have a company that's willing to pay you back for your monthly gym memberships, things like that. Some examples are 401k or 403b match. Like this is free money. If a company says, oh, we will match your retirement contributions up to a certain percent, that is literally saving their company money. So the way that works is their company gets to count that as like an expense and it goes to you and it is free money. You have to contribute too to get that match, but it literally can like double your contributions to retirement in some cases. So it's money that's for future you that can grow over time. Another one is paid time off, vacation days, sick days, holidays. This is income you're getting even without working. It's valuable. You should take it. You should take your paid time off. It's there for a reason. Professional development. My husband is going to a professional development in 2 weeks that he has to pay $500 for. Make it make sense, right? Whereas some places would be willing to cover that cost for them, then we wouldn't be out $500. So if you have a job that is willing to pay for you to go to trainings or conferences or even get certified in different things, which can help further your career, like that is invaluable. Actually, it is not invaluable. It can be directly reflected on your future income. It just helps in the long run. Tuition or student loan assistance. Not every employer is going to offer this, but when they do, if you are in college or you want to go back to college or you have student loans, this can really help save you money. And then also different things like wellness stipends, whether it is workout classes, gym memberships, money that they will pay you back. Just be on the lookout and ask about those things. Ask if you have a job right now, ask your employer, go to your HR department and say, hey, I want to talk about some of my employee benefits. So that way I'm using them since I do work here. Or if you're job searching in the future, make sure to not just look at this number, your salary matters, but also look at these hidden income numbers as well. Now, remember, out of all of this, I know I've thrown a lot at you. Knowledge alone, out of everything here, just knowing this information isn't going to help you reach financial freedom. You have to take action on something, right? You have to be able to be willing to make one small step, whether it's writing your first budget or maybe writing your fifth or sixth budget because you felt like it didn't work the first time, whether it's saying, I'm going to pay off my smallest credit card, or I'm just going to pay off this one credit card, paying off debt, saving up money for an emergency. You have to start somewhere. So I want to know, which step are you going to start with? Put it in the comments. Are you going to start with step one, writing a budget, figuring out how to tell your money where to go, coming up with that plan? Step two, paying off debt. Put a two in the comments if you're like, I'm tired of these credit cards. I'm tired of these loans. I'm ready for them to go so I can keep more of my money. Put a two in the comments. Or if you're like, I really know I need to be saving money, I have barely any money in savings, I want to feel more secure, then put a three in the comments. A three could also be, I want to start investing more. I want to be investing for my future and be thinking about that. So I see twos, I see threes. I love it. Okay, I'm so excited. I hope that you guys walked away with some helpful information. I do have some free resources here. So if you go to inspiredbudget.com/Aspen, you are going to get a link. I have all of it there. My goodbye debt tracker. So for those of you who are like, yes, let's do this. Let's pay off debt. That's there. I have my printable budget template. So it's on an iPad in this picture, but you can print it. And then I also have a link to my budget cheat sheet, which is going to walk you through in more depth about writing a budget, things to consider, all of that. So you can get that at inspirebudget.com/Aspen. That's all for you. And I'm not gonna I'm not gonna say like in 10 days this link goes away. No, it'll just be around. It'll be around. So you have access to that. And then I'd love for you to connect with me. I have a website, inspirebudget.com. I'm on Instagram, TikTok. I'm at Inspired Budget. I have a podcast where we have a new podcast episode coming out every single Thursday, so you can connect with me there. But yeah, I'd love to connect with you a little bit more and answer any questions you have. So I think I finished a little bit later, but I do want to be able to answer any of your specific money related questions. If you want to put them in the chat, you can now. And they don't have to be like very specific. They could be general. It could be, I know someone had asked about the difference between the debt snowball and debt avalanche method, but it could just be something like, how do I stay motivated? Should I be concerned about these tariffs? Like, what do I do? And any questions you have, I'd be happy to answer them. If you put them in the chat. And I do want to say the difference between, question was asked by Dr. Zimmerman earlier, the difference between debt snowball and debt avalanche. Great question. And this is something that I saw a lot of people wanting to pay off debt are excited about that. So the debt snowball method, there are different debt methods. I honestly don't think that like one is better than the other. I think it's important to find what works for you. And the debt snowball is when you pay off your loan balances in order from smallest to largest. So we would look at the balances. We would not look at the interest rates. And we would say, okay, I need a quick win. Like, this is going to be hard. I need a quick win. I have a credit card that has $600 on it. I just need to pay it off because I know that'll make me feel good. In fact, my cousin called me about 2 months ago and he said, Allison, I have these credit cards. I have the money. I don't want to do it. I said, Chris, pay it off. Like, you have the money. You are literally paying money interest in this every single month. Pay it off and you will feel so good about yourself. And he did. And so that would be the debt snowballs. You pay off the smallest balance first, whereas debt avalanche, you pay off the highest interest debt first. So those are the differences there. I'm so glad that you guys liked it. I hope everyone goes to inspiredbudget.com/slash Aspen, ASPEN, so that way you guys can get a link to all the resources. Okay, is it a bad idea to use money from a 401k to pay off high interest credit card debt and work on putting it back later? So, this is a really great question. To me, I would try everything else before pulling out money from my 401k. And here's why. The more money you have in your 401k, the more the money compounds on itself and gives you more wealth. So I also like to say, like, what are the wealthy people doing, right? Like what is a rich person doing? They're not going to be pulling money out of their retirement. So what I would do in terms of high interest credit card debt, like I know it is hard. It sucks. It is like soul sucking to see how much money you're sending to interest. There are a couple of different options. First off, you could always look into a 0% transfer credit card where you basically take the credit card balance from card A and you say, I'm going to take this balance on card A and I'm going to move it. I'm going to open a new credit card and move it to card B. And card B is going to give me 0% interest for anywhere from 12 to 18 months. There is a fee that comes with that, right? There is a fee because they're going to say, well, to do that, you have to pay 1% of the money you transfer over. What that can do is that can give you a timeline. That gives you 12 to 18 months, depending on what they offer you, to say, I'm going to pay off this balance as fast as I can before the interest rate like kicks back in. The issue that people get in with this is that now credit card A is empty. And we have credit card B, all of our debt is on credit card B. And guess what people continue to do? They continue to use credit card A because it's there and it's empty and it's available. And then what ends up happening is people rack up credit card debt back on the original one, and they also have credit card debt on the second one. So what you need to do is if you decide to do that, we have to have discipline and we have to say, I'm going to take this credit card A and I'm going to put it in the freezer. I'm going to put it under my mattress. I'm going to set it away and I'm not going to use it anymore. And I'm going to focus all of my attention on credit card B so that I can pay it off, hopefully, as much as I can before that interest hits in. That's one option. Another option is to look at oh my goodness, I'm blanking on my words. I just saw my husband outside watering the lawn. I got distracted. Another option is to look at debt consolidation, where you can take several debts and put them in, or you can look at a personal loan and say, if I have $15,000 of credit card debt, can I get a $15,000 personal loan? Use that money to pay off the credit card, and then now have this personal loan with a lower interest. But the last thing I would do would be take money out of your retirement. That for me would be a last like a last effort kind of thing. Yes, we need to change the behavior. Keep your army of dollars working for you. Exactly. Okay. Until debt is under control, should I minimize retirement savings to only meet employer match? This is a wonderful question. I will say I don't have a lot of regrets on my debt-free journey. And I also have to say that I paid off debt at a younger age. We became debt-free when I was 28. So I realized that there is like I had time to start investing afterwards. We did not invest while we were paying off debt, and I regret that. And the reason why I regret it is because now I know the power of compound interest. Back then, I was clueless. I really was. I was just trying to get by, and that's okay. We all have those times when we're just trying to get by. But now I know the power. So for me, I would not lower my investing. I would definitely continue to invest up to your employer match. That is literally free money. You put in $5, they give you $5. Like, do not ever walk away from free money. It's like walking down the street and you see $100 bill on the ground and you look at it and say, meh, I don't want to bend down and get it. Like, no, get that match, right? Get that money. It's your money. Now it's your money. But I do understand like pulling back some to be able to pay off debt, but definitely get up to the match. I wish I had invested. I wasn't investing anything until we were debt free. And I regret that because I know the power of compound interest now. Even $100 a month, like you think it's nothing, but given time, years and years and years and years, in your retirement account, it can make a huge difference. You are welcome. Okay, any more questions? Now, I know some of you might be thinking, like, Allison, I have a question, but I'm a little nervous to ask it because there's all these people here. Don't worry, I got you. You can email me. I'm Allison, Allison, at inspiredbudget.com. In the subject line, just say, I was in your workshop. And you can send me your super personal question, and I would be more than happy to respond to you like tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow. Maybe like give me like Thursday and Friday. I would be so happy to answer you because I know that some of these questions, like you might be thinking, I have something that's more detailed, a detailed situation. I would be so happy to answer your questions. So Allison, Allison, at inspiredbudget.com. That's my email address. I'm the one who checks it. I will see it and I will respond to you. If you have more sensitive or specific questions that you might not feel comfortable asking in the chat. Okay.
Sarah, did you want to elaborate a little bit on investing question mark? You can come off mute if you want to. I'm sure Allison would love to hear you.
Yes. Oh, I'll type my email. Yes. Okay. I
Mute
put my
doesn't like me, but just kind of good options of investing.
good options of investing. Oh, gosh. So, and there's it honestly, like, there's lots of good options when it comes to investing. And I wouldn't be able to like guide you and kind of fill you in unless I knew your very specific situation. Because what I tell you, if you're 24 years old, is going to be very different than what I would tell someone who is 54 years old or who is 34 years old. So, for me personally, I believe in index funds. There is something called a target date retirement fund where essentially you're investing in something, and as you get closer to retirement age, it becomes less risky. But the younger you are, the more risky it is. This is something that a lot of 401k and 403b plans will offer. So if you're just saying, I want to research, I want to do a little bit of research, see what target date funds, or sometimes they're called target retirement funds, are offered by your 401k or 403b. They are typically the year you will retire. So you take your birth year and you can add 65 to it. So mine would be a 2055 fund because I would retire around that time. So when I invest in that, it's going to invest in stocks and bonds and everything. And it's going to be riskier when I'm younger. And then as I start getting older and closer to retirement age, it's going to automatically, without me having to do it, sell some of those stocks and replace them with bonds. So that's a really good, if you're like, I want to get started with it, but I'm really unsure like what to look into first, you could do that.
It's like a plug it in and forget it type with
Mhm.
target date funds, and
Yes.
they go conservative as you, and so you maintain your wealth down the line.
Yeah. If anyone tells you, like, let me teach you how to day trade, let me teach you how to do
Mhm.
this, like, I personally stay away from all of that. I am not going to be smarter than these people that work for these major corporations and banks. So I don't want to do all the research on all of it. And so a target date fund is a really easy way for you to be diversified. You're not putting all of your eggs in one basket, right? Not all of your money's going into Walmart or Apple. It's going into a ton of different types of companies of different sizes. And then as you get closer to retirement, it starts becoming like, if quote unquote, like safer.
Mhm.
Any other questions?
Did that answer your question, Sarah?
Yep. Thank you.
All right.
You're welcome, Sarah.
Does anyone have any other questions for Allison? You can come off mute. This is a great time. She said she would stay around for questions. I'd love to keep her as long as I could possibly can. No? All right.
Any more?
No problem. Well, you guys have the information. She gave you her email address, so if you do have anything that's a little more private, and it's understandable, money is a very difficult thing to talk about, and there's a lot of families. If you many families never even grew up talking about money, so that's kind of why there's the educational component for money is so important in today's society. A lot of people don't know, and it's not because they're ignorant and they just don't know because their parents didn't know,
Mhm.
and so I appreciate Allison's guidance and her mission to get this information out there to everyone in the world. It's sorely needed. We're on a trajectory to have a lot of people who are going to be working into their 70s, 80s, and 90s
Mhm.
because they have not properly signed up, they have probably set up for retirement,
Mhm.
aren't saving money. And it's because they just didn't know. They didn't have the exposure. And Allison is definitely on a mission to make sure that everyone knows, and we appreciate her for what she does. And I kind of bombed her intro and I really felt terrible about it because I was gushing, right? Because I found Allison like a couple years ago, really, and I've read her book and her information actually changed my habits, so it was kind of starstruck. So when I actually had to talk, I was like, oh, blah, 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 kind of like biting over my tongue. So I apologize for that. Um, but again, excellent information. Everyone, was this a good presentation or what? Did she just hit her flow? She was going, so if you can say thank you again in the chat. And again, if you are here from NSLS and you were looking for speaker engagement, not that I can't remember what it's called, but if you're here to get credit for the speaker presentation, please put your name in there. I know there was a couple people that have already done that. One last chance to talk with Allison live. Going once, going twice. All right, everyone. Well, I do want to thank Allison Baggerly for coming and being our presentation here this evening. And as for NSLS and for Aspen University, I want to say have a great evening and thank you very much for coming tonight.
Thank you for joining me. It was so great to, like, quote unquote, meet everyone. Send me an email. I'll answer your questions there too.